The BBC has finally confirmed the future plans for Doctor Who on a random Tuesday in October, coming completely out of nowhere. This news, this announcement, this press release, nearly 5 months on from the end of Ncuti Gatwa's second season and his departure from the show, the reality war, the surprise return of Billie Piper, maybe as the Doctor, maybe not. Since then, there has been much speculation about what is next for the show, about whether another kind of extended hiatus is in store like there was in the 90s in the so-called wilderness years, whether we'd already entered the second wilderness years without knowing it. There was also speculation about Disney having pulled out. They've kind of co-funded and been involved with the past few seasons of Doctor Who, the second RTD era, but because of the cloud under which Ncuti left the show and various other things about that finale, the reality war, it was kind of thought that, yeah, okay, perhaps they're not going to continue, they're not going to kind of recommission the show. They commissioned those seasons, the spin-off War Between the Land and the Sea as well, which is coming up. And there were various quotes and interviews and statements from BBC executives basically saying that the BBC could not confirm the future of Doctor Who until Disney themselves confirmed what their intentions were, whether they were going to do a new deal for new episodes and recommission the show or not. But it was thought that that was probably not the case and that Disney were essentially kind of just dragging their heels here, which was delaying things even further. Now we know for sure that Disney are out. They're not co-funding any more Doctor Who, at least for the foreseeable future. So we've had the 2 Ncuti Gatwa seasons, the 60th specials as well, which I kind of came on to later in the day, the 2 Christmas specials we had with Ncuti, and this upcoming spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea. The statement says that that's apparently going to be airing later this year now, I'd guess over the Christmas period. There was a bit of confusion about whether it was going to be this year or next. I think originally it probably was meant to be this year, then there was talk of it being delayed until 2026 to kind of maintain that consistency of annual Doctor Who content, something every year. Now they've said this year as part of this statement, which only needs another kind of 2 months really for them to get it out. I'm guessing it will come out, over the Christmas, New Year period, perhaps some episodes in December, some in January, to tide us over to, like I say, kind of maintain that commitment to annual Doctor Who, to also give us some form of Doctor Who over the festive period, because we're not going to be getting that this year, but we will be getting that next year, and that is the other big headline here, that the next episode of Doctor Who is going to be a Christmas special in 2026. So let's see what the press release has to say. Today, the BBC announced that Doctor Who will be back on our screens at Christmas 2026 with a special episode written by Russell T Davies. With Disney Plus confirming they will not be partnering on the next season of the sci-fi show, the BBC remain fully committed to the show and will announce plans for the next series in due course to ensure the Doctor's adventures continue. Lindsay Salt, director of drama, said, "We'd like to thank Disney Plus for being terrific global partners and collaborators over the past 2 seasons, and for the upcoming The War Between the Land and the Sea." The BBC remains fully committed to Doctor Who, which continues to be one of our most loved dramas, and we're delighted that Russell T Davies has agreed to write another spectacular Christmas special for 2026. We can assure fans the Doctor is not going anywhere, and we will be announcing plans for the next series in due course, which will ensure the TARDIS remains at the heart of the BBC. The statement also confirms, like I say, that The War Between the Land and the Sea will be airing sometime later this year on iPlayer and BBC One, and also alludes to the fact that this new animated series for CBeebies is still in development. So they're very much kind of saying, well, there's not going to be new Doctor Who until this time next year, kind of 13, 14 months from now, but hey, we have these other projects on the way, one of which is in development, one of which is ready to go, and you're going to be seeing on your screens very, very soon, and basically the BBC is kind of committed to Doctor Who still, and that proves it. This is very, very interesting news. I mean, very welcome news, ultimately, regardless of your feelings perhaps on the most recent era or seasons of Doctor Who, any problems you might have had. I think overwhelmingly it's just nice to have some confirmation about what is next, and there is something next, and it's going to be sooner rather than later that we see Doctor Who again on our screens, rather than waiting, 5, 10 years, whatever, for an extended hiatus to pass. What we now know is that there is going to be this episode next year at Christmas, still written by Russell and showrun by Russell, still produced by Bad Wolf. presumably with another kind of international streaming partner waiting in the wings, and they've perhaps not kind of finalised the deal there yet, so they can't say what that's going to be, but I would assume someone like Amazon, Netflix, HBO, one of those kind of big streaming companies will come in and take Disney's place and provide some funding. You get the international rights to make the show available across the world. I suppose the main thing with this is that essentially the current regime of Doctor Who will be continuing, still with Russell as showrunner, still with Bad Wolf producing, so it's very much the same people involved, for better or for worse, I suppose, depending on your opinion of the last couple of seasons. But that's going to be the case. They haven't confirmed, again, who the Doctor or companion or any of the cast are going to be, how much of a continuation it's going to be from what we've had so far over the past few years. I mean, my first thought was, okay, this is going to be how they kind of tie up the whole cliffhanger from the Reality War. This is where they're going to have Billie Piper involved in some form, perhaps like as a one-off Doctor for an hour, for one episode on Christmas Day, and then she'll regenerate into someone else at the end of that, and that will kind of take us into the next season, the next era. I suppose that's not actually a given, and the fact they haven't confirmed who the Doctor will be yet for this story, I mean, either confirms that they don't themselves know, that's still being negotiated, that's still being worked out, contracts are still being written, or perhaps they want to hold that back for now and maintain an element of surprise as much as they can. Very, very interesting stuff there. I'm sure there'll be more announcements on that in due course. It's interesting they haven't taken this opportunity to confirm whether Billie Piper is the Doctor or not, which again suggests that ultimately she probably isn't, or she's something else. She's not a Doctor, but some other transitional thing between the 15th Doctor and the 16th, or she's Rose Tyler or the Bad Wolf or whatever. I think I would be surprised though if she's not involved in this story, in this special, in some form, be it as the Doctor or not. I mean, in terms of other potential cast members, somebody else who springs to mind is David Tennant, who really has only just recently appeared in the show, relatively recently, in the 60th specials, like 2 years ago now, as the 14th Doctor. Perhaps he'll be back as the 14th Doctor, or something else. I think, though, if they do have Billie, it's kind of like an irresistible idea to have the two of them together again, given how popular that pairing was, the 10th Doctor and Rose, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if that's what this special is. And that all ties into a bigger conversation about, okay, are we just kind of repeating history here? Are we just going back to square one? Because this whole era, the second RTD era, began with David Tennant coming back to the show for the second time following the Day of the Doctor. And we got him there as another numbered incarnation, the 14th Doctor. That was one thing for an anniversary for the 60th, and then we got a brand new Doctor in the form of Ncuti, and now Ncuti is left and we could be going back to David Tennant again, or Billie Piper, but either way, some existing cast member who has been in the show before, either as a Doctor or companion. That would be slightly disappointing if that is the case, and it would be nice to know and have that kind of reassurance that we are going to be getting a new actor as the Doctor going forward following this special. I think that's what I would like to see most of all, like Billie and maybe David for the special, and then a brand new Doctor after that, and Billie and David can go back into their box and kind of stay away from the show and not return again for the foreseeable future, and we can just put that all behind us and move forwards. Maybe that's what this is going to be, like a kind of coda to what we've had so far, even though it's not produced or co-produced by Disney. We're kind of wrapping up, bringing everything full circle, from the 60th up until this point, bringing back the 14th Doctor, perhaps returning to this whole idea of bi-generation, because the 14th Doctor bi-generated. Perhaps this is how we're going to get closure and a kind of a more traditional, conventional generation scene or whatever for him, where we kind of see the end of his story and put a line across the page and just move forward without all this baggage of all this constant stuff from the past weighing us down. Lots and lots of food for thought there. I mean, please let me know what your thoughts are on this announcement. Are you pleased about the fact that we're going to be getting a Doctor Who Christmas special and new Doctor Who next year? Or would you have preferred to have a hiatus? Would you have preferred the show to kind of go away for a while and kind of rethink itself and reimagine itself and then come back refreshed with a different production team in 5-10 years? Whatever the case, please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Please leave a like if you have enjoyed this video, and please subscribe to the channel if you're new for more updates on Doctor Who's future as and when they arrive. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.